Hello, you beautiful people. OpenDarkwing here, and welcome back to Mechanical Mastery. In our last episode, we started off by kind of introducing the pack, what it was all about, and what we're going to be doing. In the meantime, I have stretched out a nice green area here. We have our EMC generation machine here. We got a little bit of wheat for some food eventually, and we've just been generally busy. I created a couple of these Stirling dynamos, and then I was poking around the pack and I realized we have power. And power is relatively cheap to kind of access and get into. So I think we're gonna have the dynamos as needed in the pack. Obviously we have the thermal here, and I believe up here it recommends going to a lapidary dynamo here. But power, if we do so in JEI and REI, if you do you can search by mod. So if we look here, so what I did is I built the energy cell, just the basic one, which was 2 of the starters, so a little bit of iron and dielectric paste, and 2 of, I mean, it was very easy to kind of get into a basic energy cell here. But I was looking at our solar panels, because we're always running daytime, we're not running anything night, and it looks like a little bit of lapis and some glass panes to get these photoelectric panes. So that means in the next chapter we should be getting lapis pretty quickly, which means we can create some solar. And with these energy cells holding 4 million FE, it's going to work out pretty well for us. So the idea for today's episode is we are going to complete out building our machines. I've got a lot of stuff kind of already started. We are going to need to get some sand for some of these other ones. And then I want to develop a way to automate our mechanical essence. And that's where it's going to get very interesting, because if we look at our press dies, for example, our gear working die, it's 4 ingots per gear. So it eliminates the need for the iron nugget in the middle. And the rod dies is extremely interesting as well, because it's 1 ingot per 2 rods. So if we're pulling stuff out with the basic EMC IO, we can pull out our raw stuff. So we have to pull out raw copper, raw bauxite, and raw iron to get all of the components we need for the aluminum gear, the iron gear, and the 2 copper rods. So we have to pull out 1 thing of copper to make the 2 rods, and then 4 things of each of these. So we're going to have to kind of math it out with the filter modes, a stack limiter so we can limit how much we're pulling out, and the medium and high tiers of this is going to be important, because then we can limit how much is passing through the pipes so that we don't overload the system and we're not producing and have stacks of copper rods and we're trying to play catch up and everything else. So we're going to be figuring out a way to automate the process. But until then, let's go ahead and complete out everything else we have. One thing I wanted to point out is we have the crafting station, which is awesome because it can connect to any inventory that's touching it with this mod. So we have 4 double chests in a circle around the crafting station, which means we can store everything in here and instantly pull it out. We have, for example, we can go a sequential fabricator. We already have everything we need to build this, so we just hit move items and we can build it. The induction smelter, we need the sand, so we can't do the smelter yet. But the pulverizer, as long as we have everything built up, it will hunt down in all of our chests each piece that we need for each of these things and automatically pull it out. So we've got these all done. We do need to get, eventually I'll be replacing these with the redstone furnaces once we get some really good source of power going. But for now, I think what we're going to do is plop these down. You know what? I think what we're going to end up doing actually is, yeah, we'll plop these down over here. Just to get them down and connected up to power and running. Oh, the other thing I have done is I created a backpack and upgraded it to gold just so that we have that up to date for us. So we have these now, and these are powering up. These run off of coal or charcoal, and what I've been doing is just throwing in a little bit of, you know, just creating as much charcoal as possible so that we can run these things off of charcoal for a while until EMC is not terribly a problem. Once we get the automation going, then I'm not going to worry about doing that. Though, as you can tell, we have plenty of EMC, and that has been thanks to this process right here. You just bounce, let it grow, and it flings stuff everywhere. You pick it all up, and you drop it in. And it's been working out fairly well. It's a little time intensive, and my finger does get a little tired from bouncing this entire time. But we need to pulverize some stuff. So let's get ourselves cobblestone. And we get it in the pulverizer. And this thing will start kicking off, and it's going to give us gravel and a few other things. And we'll be good from there. And we can also, once we eventually get the catalysts, that's where you put down here to push up for everything else. But we have completed 3 of these. Or 4 of them. We do need to get some sand out of here. And that will be pulverizing down. Well, we have 1 piece of sand, but we'll be pulverizing our gravel down to get the sand that we need for the last one. It was also pointed out to me that I don't know if I explained this Project E, and I know that some people are going to be coming here who have never played modded Minecraft before. So let me explain how this transmutation table and Project E works. Project E assigns a point value to certain objects within Minecraft. In most mod packs, everything gets an EMC value. And that is, it's almost like a currency or a like power. So when you add something with a high value into a transmutation table, then it adds to the total amount that you have. And then each thing that you pull out costs something different. So industrial hemp fiber has a 32 cost. So if I put extra in, it adds 32. If I take it out, you see that it drops down like that. And it rolls that way. And so this pack has limited which objects have an EMC value. And that's kind of the way that Project E works. Usually in most mod packs, Project E is very much a end of pack, almost game breaking system. It's awesome and fun to use, especially later on once you've been creating these giant things and you can just dump everything in there. But if you also think about it like a storage system, but once you put one thing in there, it saves the makeup of what that is. And so I can put in 1 log, and then I can pull out an unlimited number of logs. And that's how we've done with the ores. Like in the quest here, we got like 16, I think, of each, just to kind of give us some stuff. and some EMC to start with, but then we can pull out, as you can tell, an unlimited amount of those objects once they've gone in there. And so that's how EMC works. Let me get, oh, we have 3 sand and we have a flint now. So now if we throw it in here in the pulverizer because of this here, we have gotten our flint, and I should pull it. It uses it up. That's the other thing I had to mention, is that it does use up to do that. So it's not always advantageous to have it running or put it in there. It's only when you want to get a better value out. But I believe, no, which one was it? Here it is. It was the induction smelter. We now have access to the induction smelter and induction smelter catalyst. So we put you down, and there we go. So we have all of this going on. We've got these guys are filling our buffer, and then those are filling out. So now we have to figure out what our process is going to be to automate out. Oh, we get sand too. We get a bunch of sand out of that. That's awesome. So now our big task is going to be automating out this. So we're going to need some of these basic EMC links, and these covalence dusts are kind of interesting. So you get charcoal and cobblestone, gives you low covalence. Redstone and iron gives you this medium covalence, and then gold and coal gives you this high covalence, and those things combined will give you these. Invar plates, we have to use the multi-servo press to get our Invar plates, so let's get a handful of those rolling. I do have Invar, but not a lot. So we should probably make some more Invar here shortly. And also utilizing these for certain tasks are going to be good, because you get more output instead of breaking them. For example, like the redstone dust. So we've known from hitting, actually, let's go ahead and pull a second one out and we can look at this. So if we put it down and we break it with a pickaxe, we get between 4 and 5 redstone dust out of it. But if we use it in an induction smelter, we get 3 plus a cinnabar and rich slag. But a pulverizer will give us 6 with an additional 50% chance to get an additional 1. Cinnabar and gravel. And then the redstone furnace will give you 1 for 1. So pulverizing a redstone will give us more redstone than just breaking it will. And so keeping that in mind of how we want to do some of this is always a good idea. As you can see, I've made some of the covalence dusts. Let's get this out and we can complete that task for in the multi-servo press. You see these things are pressing down to make plates. We can hammer most of our ingots to get the plates, but Invar requires the multi-servo press. And so far we've gotten quite a bit of this. So let's pull this out and throw the gravel in there. That'll give us some more sand, which then we can either throw in a furnace to make glass. We can throw it in our multi-servo press with a packing die will give us sandstone. The redstone furnace will give us glass. And the induction smelter we can use as a catalyst to give us more, with an additional chance, more of getting stuff. So you can get like copper nuggets and these extra things by utilizing the sand for each of these extra tidbits that you can get out of stuff. So it's kind of nice to have for boosting. So we've gotten those. If we run through the basic mechanical essence, which is the last step process, and it takes a little bit of time, and these things are able to get augments for speed, but it comes at a power increase cost. And I'm not sure that's going to be the best thing that we can do for power. Up until a little bit later, we'll run some more power. We'll run some power calculations for each of these, because each of these things give us, and there's that mechanical crystal, which, as you can see, gives an EMC of a little over 8,000. So running this in an automation system should flood us with some good EMCs. You put it in here, boom, it's learned, and it's 8,000 more. And so this is how we're going to be able to push more objects through and get us a little bit better at a few of these things. So we've got this going on, and I believe because we've completed this, that's going to give us access to chapter 2, but let's get these completed and the die to complete chapter 1. And then we'll figure it out. We do need to, oh, it gives us 16 more of these as a reward. So 131,000 more, boom. Let's go ahead and throw the sand that we've gathered so far in there and smelt that all down to glass, because we're going to need a lot of glass for our item transport stuff and for, you know, pretty pipes and all of the associated stuff with that. We need some iron bars. So if we go down here, and as you can see, things are separated out in all the chests, but we can 16 iron bars we'll throw in there, and then we should be able to now get ourselves some pretty pipes. That was not what I meant to do. That was the button I meant to hit. 16 more. We get our mods and our pipe wrench. And the last thing we need is the EMC IOs. So let's do that real quick as well. And I can show you how this works, and then we can figure out our process. So there you go, basic EMC IO. That is complete. We're done there. We're done there. Oh, the other things we need dies. So eventually we're going to need 2 gear working dies and a rod die. The gear working die is 4 Invar plates and a gold gear, but we also get a free one when we make one. 4 Invar plates and a gold rod. So let's do that real quick. Let's get our dies made. Yeah, here we go. So we're going to want a gold gear. And we'll go that way. And that's chapter 1 complete out of thermal. We're going to want a gold rod so that we can make this. And then as a reward through here, we get to pick which one we want, which we want another gear working die. Boom. So now we have 2 gear working dies and everything else. Let's get over to tier 2 real quick. We are going to automate tier 1 still in here in this episode, but I want to open up what we got here. So suddenly the basic mechanical essence whispers to you, granting you knowledge of various materials, allowing you to transmit them at will. Boom. So now we get access to our industrial hemp seeds, which we've already kind of done. We kind of cheesed that. And I have leather, which I'll grab in a second. We get a diamond ore. We get lapis ore. We get netherrack sandstone. And then cinder flower is an alternate to redstone. You can get you can crush netherrack into cinder flower, which you can use as an alternative source of redstone, and that will get us up into the when we get up into the create mod. We can make this cinder flower because it requires this, but it's going to be cheaper than the cost of pulling out from the other. We get bone, which means now we have a source of bone meal. We get ourselves zinc. We get ourselves cactus, which is another simple EMC farm because we can set up an automatic cactus farm and just dump cactus into EMC. We also get an auxiliary. That's another run up. I think that's all. Oh, here we go. Continued thermal automation. So we'll need to create new machines and alloys to help us as we go along. We'll need to create bronze invar, which I believe we already have invar, right? Yeah, so we can just grab that real quick out. Same with the leather. We already have leather. And then we'll need andesite, which is cobblestone and high covalence dust. And eventually it will be cobblestone and nether quartz, which is kind of nice, or diorite and cobblestone, which diorite you can get this way. But that's kind of getting ahead of ourselves. But see, these are not the andesite, the diorite, the cobblestone. None of this is EMCable. And so we're going to have to create all of that. But this will get us into the create mod, which we will work on next time. Let me get one thing of invar, so that quest is complete. Oh, let's get these learned. So netherrack is learned, lapis is learned, diamond is learned, cactus, zinc, bone, soul sand, and I believe, oh yeah, industrial hemp, which we already knew. But as you can see, we put one cactus in, but we can take out a stack of cactus and it just costs 32 each. And so you can see the number change. So that's how that works. We got more invar, thankfully, because we're going to need that. Leather. Where did I put? Here's where I put the leather. We put that up there and we can complete that quest. And we have access to time in a bottle. This is kind of cool because you can hold on to the time in a bottle. You can hold on to this thing and it stores time as you're doing stuff. And then you can click it on something to speed up the process of it temporarily based on how much time you have stored. So let's figure out the best way to do our diamonds is going to be in one of these. So redstone furnace gives us 1. Multi-servo press. Oh, that's for unpacking. The pulverizer will give us 2 with a 50% chance of an additional 50%. And the induction smelter will give us 1. So it looks like we're going to want to pulverize our diamond ore. And I'm sure it's the same with the lapis. So let's get ourselves a couple of lapises because we're going to want it for our power. And let's get ourselves a couple of diamond ones as well. And then we can talk about what our process is going to have to be for automating out our basic mechanical essence so that we can get that completed. Yep, that gives us 4 diamonds. And this should give us extra lapis as we pull it out, and it should be okay to run that through. once that's complete. And then we will talk about our... Oh, wow, that gives us a lot, and it gives us sulfur. Which sulfur could be used for? Block of sulfur, pulverizer into sulfur dust. Sulfur and rubber into cured rubber, so it's something we're going to want. Oh, it also does a fuel. Oh, you can smelt 6 items with the sulfur, so you can utilize these. Let's pull that out for now. We've got plenty of lapis at the moment. Awesome. So I think one thing we're going to want to do, let's put you back in. We'll throw the sulfur in here. We'll throw you guys in here. We've got 21 glass. Let's take half of our sand and cook it down and keep the other half. Our leather we'll throw in here, as well as our flint as a catalyst. And our gravel, I'm not sure we're going to need gravel, but we're going to hold on to that for now. So we have our dyes. We're going to need more sequential fabricators, probably an induction smelter, possibly. For some multi-servo press, we're going to need a couple of times. We're going to need at least 4 of them because we're going to need 3, 1 for each of these, plus a final one. So we'll need 4 multi-servo presses, the sequential fabricator at the end to build it. So we'll need one of these. We'll need 4 of these guys, which means we're going to need 4 blocks of iron. The induction smelter. Let's figure out the best way, because we're going to need iron, bauxite, and copper. So let's figure out the best way to get each of these. So the copper will come out. That gives us 1 in the smelter. Pulverizer gives us 1 with a gold dust chance. And this will give us 1. So it looks like everything that we're doing is giving us 1 with a 25% chance of an additional 1. So we're not really boosting this too much. We could pull out the gold dust and push it back in. The bauxite pulverizer gives us aluminum dust with a possibility of an iron dust. Redstone furnace will just give us 1 straight up. And it looks like that's it for the bauxite. So we're going to either need to iron furnace it or pulverize it, then iron furnace it. So we'll just iron furnace you for 1. And then the raw iron, smelt for 1, pulverize then smelt, or just smelt for 1. So it looks like we can run induction smelter in, and we could possibly get more nickel and more iron out of each one. So we're induct smelting iron for sure. We are just redstone furnacing bauxite. And then I think I want the additional chance of gold nuggets. So we will induction smelt. So we'll need 2 induction smelters, 1 furnace, 4 multi-servo presses. We don't need another pulverizer at the moment. And then 1 sequential fabricator. And we will need 4 basic EMC links. Because we will need more of these. 1. Oh, I forgot to hold down Shift. Always hold down Shift when you make multiple. 2, 3. So that's 3 more of the basic EMC links. And I did it again. Hold down Shift, and there you go. So we got 3. So we have the 4 EMC links we have now. We are going to need to get more of these, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But for now, I'm going to go ahead and build the rest of these out, and then we'll talk about how we are aligning everything. And now that we have access to lapis, I think I at least want to make some of the basic solar panels. The hardened ones will require a little bit more, and we'll go in, we'll dedicate an entire episode to the power mod, and we'll talk about this. But for now, let me get these things built, and we will come back. Now that we're back, as you can see, we've got this kind of monstrosity built for now. I am going to compact this up in between episodes, but I did create a basic solar panel. So this thing is creating out enough FE per tick, I think, to kind of keep this thing going. We could probably get rid of these eventually, but we'll go with the solar panels for a while just because it's a little bit easier to maintain and I don't have to worry about burning EMC to keep the dynamos running. That all being said, here's how this whole thing works. So pretty pipes allow you to add these filter modules in here. So if we want to go and we want to low extraction, we can, I'm not 100% sure. Oh, it's the other ones. So you can disallow certain things coming through for the extraction modules, but it's the big ones that we want to deal with, I believe, are the stack limiters. And this is how many maximum item amounts that we can run in a value here and only pull out so many at a time so that we don't bog down our entire system. So we have the redstone furnace we figured is going to end up being for the bauxite, which then is the bauxite, right? Yeah, because everything else can get smelted, induction smelted. So redstone furnace into here, which means we have to swap these dyes out because we want here. So the idea is you have this EMC link, which will pull out, I believe it's one item every, yeah, import, export one item every second with a fluid export limit of 1,000 millibuckets per second. So a bucket a second. So to activate this, we have to make sure that we throw in and clear this as being set to raw aluminum or bauxite. So that goes into here. We now know that this has our rod dye. So we just need one of those, and that is going to be the copper. And then obviously the last one then will be iron. So the idea is it will pull out these as much as we set, and it'll induction smelter down for the iron, for the copper, get induction smelted down, and then the bauxite gets redstone furnace down 4, 1, and 4. Then that moves into the multi-servo press, which requires 4 in. And I think what we can do is we can hold it, and if we limit properly, we can hold things down. So the 4 will come in here, it'll create a gear working die. Then all of those will come down into this sequential fabricator, which we can set, and set to automatically create our basic mechanical essence. We check mark that. This will get transferred, moved over to the multi-servo press, which will automatically pull in from that and out back into our EMC when it's completed. Now, the way that these thermal series ones roll is you can see that the pipes aren't fully connected in. So we have to set our configuration tab. So you have the front here, and you can see how these things are kind of are done. The top is a solid color. So you have the front, the top, the bottom is the darker one. You have left side, right side, and back. So we want to set the back to blue, which then this comes up to blue as auto input, and select auto input enabled. And what that does then is it changes the back to be an input to there. We want to output that automatically into this pipe. So we would set the front Can we not set the front to... Oh, maybe we can't. All right, give me... This is easy enough fix. We also have the carry mod. So you crouch and right click, and I'll pick it up, and then it'll always have front facing. So we can come down here, we can crouch, front facing. Front facing. This way... I thought thermal allowed you to import, export from the front, but apparently not. All right, let's try this again then. We'll start with the furnace. We import now from the right. Make sure that's enabled. And we export to the left. So import in, and then it exports out. Import in, export out. And then when you have two machines together like this, if I set the export for the fabricator and the import here, it doesn't have to do this. The reason why we're not doing that here is because we want to use these limiters and these filters to make sure that we are doing this properly. And we don't gunk up the system or do anything off with the system. So I'm going to get all these set. I'm going to get power to all this, and then we'll go over how it all looks when it's completed and done and it's running properly. So we'll get power to it. We will get the stack limiters in to the point where it works right, and then I'll go over how we use the pretty pipes to limit our stuff and make sure that it completely works. So give me a minute and we'll complete this, and we'll be back to wrap up our fully automated EMC system. Okay, so this is working nice and slow. I haven't started pulling this out yet, but we'll go through this. So the idea is that connected up to the basic EMC links, which we've already talked about, we have the bauxite, we have the raw ores going in. We have a low extraction module, which enables it to extract out. And then we are limiting, with the stack limiter, how many in each of these we are allowing at a time. And this will help us keep our EMC costs down. Then what we do, and we can probably slow you down to 1, because we are producing a lot more here than what we are out from here. So we've already backed up on our copper rods. So we have a stack limiter of how much we allow in at a time on each of these all the way through. We have our extraction modules, obviously, and I have this as a stack limiter of having 4 because we need some stuff in here, because we need at least 2 of these and 1 of each of these. And I could probably actually run this and limit this down to 2. And this way we're not flooding up this thing with too much stuff. We're kind of producing out more of a few of these than others because we have some of this going on too. So we have, it improves the basics, which we could probably pull you out of this one because it's going a little too fast, and we will throw it in here so it makes it more efficient and a little bit faster because we're overproducing copper. The other thing I have in these is the auxiliary cactus, which is on excess non-primary outputs, item outputs. So like the slag or the cinnabar and all that stuff. And then we are exporting out our nuggets and all of that into the storage drawers, which I will eventually be able to afford to update. And because as you see, we already have 60, we have 96 in there and 84 in there. So eventually what we'll want to do is get some void decreases, but 32 stacks, or I'll just kind of keep an eye on this. So these things all run out to the sequential fabricator, which automatically manufactures them. And because of the configuration, we have it outputted out with the input on this side. It's automatically making these basic mechanical essences and multi-servo pressing them into the crystals. And then if I set the extraction module here and we set it to here, it pulls automatically out from this side and pushes it into here. And as you can see, our EMC in the upper right hand corner is just climbing up. So we are pulling out, you see the negatives where we pull stuff out, and then the jump in positives when we create one of these things is done. It's almost going to be done here in a minute. So it's pulling out, pulling out, pulling out, and then here shortly we should see it move through here. There it goes, and boom, input in 7K. And so this thing should, if done properly and done the way we're trying to pull this, there's got to be a better way of setting this thing here to extracting out based on this. But what'll end up happening is, I guess this will get filled up and then this won't be able to take any more, and it just pushes through because the extraction, we also have on these extractions, we're disallowing. So these are blacklisted, and I couldn't remember which one was which, so I just kind of did both of them. These are being disallowed so that they automatically push over there and we don't end up getting the wrong things in here. But as we can see, it kind of holds on to it. This fills up, and so it just holds. This gets stopped out at 2, but we're going to stop it at 1 because it's so much faster. And this will hold on. This has 4 outputs, which is, you know, it'll just kind of pull for a little while and go. But as you can see, we're already up to 305. So this is now automating and generating out all the EMC we need. We are slowly dropping on just the one power thing, so I might want to make some more of that because each of these is holding on to a power link. But what I could do is, or what we could do is we could create a more efficient way of building power. I believe this should, now this is going, yep, now we're netting back into the positive again. So the reason why I had the energy cell is we were using more power than what we were making, but because I had this as a buffer, I was able to catch it before we dropped too low. So more of the solar panels, we'll probably talk about more in the power mod and how to upgrade our solar panels at some point, because I do want to go solar since we're staying always daytime. Solar is going to be the cheapest route for more power as time goes on. But what I will do is I will end up cleaning this all up. I think what we can do is, seeing how fast this process is, and we can probably eliminate some of these in here and just limit what's coming in and push through a little bit faster, and maybe upgrade this multi-servo press, make it go a little bit faster, and we should be able to kind of compact this down and automate a lot more. Also, the power energy cables, you can walk right through them. So like these cables block me out, I can pass right through here. But for now, we have automated in our first set, and you know, we'll talk about power a little bit more. And I think what we'll do, oh yeah, we've gotten these. We have another upgrade module. This explains out everything for what the cactus does. So for example, on the induction smelter, so we had, let's talk about the uses here, and I'll explain it this way. So the induction smelter, does it not do it on, is it copper? Maybe I don't need them at all because, oh, it doesn't have the, interesting. All right, I don't need those cactus modules after all. But what it'll do is on some of these things where it will have, like on the pulverizer. So let's look at redstone real quick. I'll explain it from here. So when we get redstone from, say, like a pulverizer, it gives these extra, like this thing will be a chance, it gives some extra stuff, and you can put that cactus module in there to eliminate some of that extra stuff that comes out. So those become handy. We don't need them, I guess, in these because, well, it's not doing what I thought it was going to do, but that's fine. For now, this is all working. It's slowly making these things up. It's not overloading here. We're backing up a bit here as this will fill in with more and more copper. It will it'll stop up like we are here, where it stops up and it just waits until something else gets pulled. That's getting wait until these get pulled and we're caught up here. So those will come out. Our iron was for a little bit running a little bit faster than our bauxite is, but I think that's because the induction smelter is a little bit faster than our redstone furnace. But you can't induction smelt the bauxite, you have to use the redstone furnace. We could have built a second redstone furnace and just done it that way and just redstone furnace these things, but as we can see from gold and nickel, we are getting quite a bit of excess gold and nickel, and that will help us in the long run. So we have ourselves a basic automation system to automating out these mechanical essences. We're going to throw you in here. It'll speed up, but it also uses more power, so we'll just have to remember that. We will fix our power stuff kind of off camera before the next episode, and then I will explain out power next episode, and we can start getting into kind of create and immersive engineering. And there's all sorts of fun stuff. We have better pipes with the universal cables and the pipes, because our regular mechanical essence, it requires mixing. We're mixing Invar gears, steel gears, and basic mechanical essences and bronze rods. So we have to automate the creation of bronze, automate the creation of steel, automate the creation of Invar. But we've already automated the creation of basic mechanical essences. The only thing we'll have to change is, instead of multi-servo pressing them, we will just hold on to those and dump them into a mixer. And yeah, this thing will just keep importing and giving us more EMC. We've already gathered up about a little over 60,000 EMC by just sitting here and explaining. But that is the system. Thank you guys all for watching today. Please call your mom and dad, or tell your mom and dad you love them. They'll appreciate it. Till next time, take care.